GMV Max, like if it's not working for you, it's probably like a creative issue. It's like you need more videos coming in, but you don't really have a choice starting like next year. Like GMV Max is going to be like the only tool.
Good stuff. A lot of the things that are changing is super important to be aware of, especially on the TikTok shop.
Really successful brands send like 1,000 samples each month, and they're kind of seeing that 6 to 7 figure number in terms of GMV. We try to recommend increasing that around 20% month over month at minimum.
Your conversion rate will drop because you're going to get way more traffic. But as long as I'm tracking those 4 things before any campaign and I'm checking it every single week, I can see a trend, which is super valuable.
We usually do 20% per week, both for target ROI and for budget. Usually that seems to be pretty stable. Like we don't see a lot of like swings if we do that. Just don't get like greedy with it. Obviously, if you're okay with like 20% margins, then like don't keep bumping it to like 3, because then, you know, as soon as you start to see a little bit of a dip, GMV Max is just going to turn off.
This is our first webinar as Cruva. It's our new name. Same company, same product, great people, same people, but we're just looking towards the future, same goals. But yeah, thank you everybody for joining today. We're going to have 3 great speakers. The way the format of the webinar is going to go is we'll have Zayn speak first on how to maximize Q4's sales. Then we're going to have Rafi from The Uptick. He's going to come next. And then Jelena is going to hit us with some creator strategies that will actually sell. And then finally, we're going to have some Q&As. So please save those Q&As to the end of the webinar. If you have any questions, please type them into the box. We'll get to them at the end. Yeah, just happy to get started. And then Zayn, you're up next, so you'll go first.
Well, thank you to the team at Cruva for having me. Like Brian said, I'm going to be talking about basically how to get the most out of Q4 on TikTok Shop. Just going to go over just like launching if you were to launch now, but mainly about like scaling for Q4. So just some background on us. So our agency is a TikTok Shop certified partner agency. We're based out of New York. We're pretty boutique. We have 19 clients across like health and wellness, food and beverage, pretty much every category, but those 2 kind of make up 80% of our clients. Work with brands like Momofuku, Avi, Primal Harvest, things like that. So just like a general overview of what I'll be talking about. The part 1 is on GMV Max. So that's probably the easiest lever to really just like crank sales during Q4, because your existing creatives will just get a better conversion rate, especially if you're like a giftable product. So it's just like the easiest way to just like increase your sales, like 10, 20% week over week, just by bumping up budget. So that'll have kind of its own section. And then part 2 is just like general prepping for Q4, new changes, the new ownership at TikTok, just talking about some of the hot button topics. Cool. So just an overview on GMV Max. It's been around for a bit, but now it's transitioning to be basically the only tool that you can use for TikTok ads. Used to be that you can run it manually, use a lot of Spark codes. Now they just want to kind of automate the whole process. So GMV Max involves pretty much 0 media buying. You just set up the campaign, you set the budget, and it pretty much does everything. So you can still request Spark codes from creators. That's good for creators that don't have like affiliate mass authorization enabled. So if you have AMA enabled, then your videos will just get pulled in automatically into GMV Max. But Spark codes will help for those creators that don't. Some creators, they've kind of been burned by brands before, so they turn that feature off because they don't want their commission rate to drop if you run it as an ad. And then kind of the only real toggle that you have on GMV Max is between max delivery and target ROI in terms of like optimization type, and then obviously budget. Max delivery is just you're telling TikTok, I just want to spend the entire budget no matter what. Target ROI is like, okay, I only want to spend the budget if I'm hitting this ROI. So max delivery is usually what people run on days like Black Friday, Cyber Monday, that kind of thing, where you just want to push a ton of spend. You don't want TikTok to look at historical data. You just want it to spend the budget, and that it's going to back out. That it's going to do well on some of those big days. And target ROI is great if you're just like, I don't want to spend unless I'm hitting these profitability targets. So in terms of GMV Max, there's a few new kind of features. Like one is creative boost. So before you couldn't really control where the ad spend went. It was just, GMV Max is just optimizing based on whatever's getting the most sales. Now there's a feature called Creative Boost where you can pick specific videos, specific creators, and give an amount of budget to only those videos. So it's pretty nice in terms of like you have a really big creator that posts for you. Maybe you've guaranteed them some ad spend. Maybe the video is going to do well. It's just like you have so many videos in there that GMV Max is just not spending on it. So it gives you some control there. As far as I know, you can only use it on target ROI right now. You can't use it on like max delivery budget type. And then you also have the option to exclude videos from spend. So a lot of bigger brands, if you're like an agency or if you're like a larger brand, you have like brand guidelines, or the client has brand guidelines. This allows you to just like remove the videos from GMV Max that you don't want spending in there. So maybe it's saying something that they really shouldn't be saying. Let's say you paid some creator for like 3 months of being able to run it as an ad, and that kind of has expired. You can remove those videos. There's also GMV Max for live streams. So if you're going to do a ton of like Black Friday, Cyber Monday live streams, you might want to test putting some spend behind it. You might want to test that now. So when it comes to Black Friday or Cyber Monday or whenever you're going hard, you've kind of already iterated and tested that. So that's kind of a new feature. It used to be you can only run GMV Max on videos. And then Shop Ads commission rate, that's been around for a while, basically lets you give a lower commission rate for the videos that are coming or for the sales that are coming through ad spend. So let's say you normally have 20% commissions, you're running ads now, even at like a 3x ROI, it's like 30% of your revenue is going towards TikTok for the ad spend. So you can drop the commission rate down. We usually only recommend dropping it down by like 5%. So if you're normally doing 20% commission rate, you can drop it down to 15. You could maybe do like 10%. Anything more than like a 10% drop or anything under a 10% commission rate, you're going to get a lot of creators getting annoyed because they think that they're, that you're kind of screwing them over, even though, you are driving traffic to the videos. Some of them don't see it like that. So just be careful when you're setting that Shop Ads commission rate, but it can give you that extra margin that you need to really scale ad spend, especially in Q4. And then there's a promotion day feature. You just have to be careful with this one because it'll increase your budget on promotion days. Like let's say you're running Black Friday, Cyber Monday promotion, whatever it is, but it'll also decrease your target ROI. So spend more money at a lower ROI. You're also running a discount. More likely than not, that you're not going to have a ton of profit if you're running promotion day feature, but it will help you get a lot of budget out without you having to increase your budget on those days, decrease your budget. It just, again, makes it more automated. This is just like a quick case study on like a brand that we ran GMV Max at the same time that we were launching it. So this is like a cold start, and it works pretty well in tandem because as soon as a video does well organically, if you turn on GMV Max, TikTok knows like, okay, if I give this video a little bit more distribution, if you're paying to play, then it's gonna bring you even more sales. So month one, we had around 200 creators. This is just using like a outreach software like Cruva to get those creators. We did a GMV of 13,000. Month two, we doubled the number of creators, so another 200 creators from an outreach tool. Then we hit 40K GMV. Month three, again, added another 200 creators in a total of 90K GMV. And then this kind of a little bit harder to see, but month one, the spend was 4K, month two, 21K, month three, 28K. And you can see that we stayed at 2 ROI or above, and that's using that target ROI feature. So if we just wanted to slam spend, we probably would just turn on max delivery. Maybe your client or maybe your brand is like targeting like a break even. They want like 1.6, 1.7, whatever it is. This brand wanted to be profitable, so we set it at target ROI, and then we pretty much set like an unlimited budget as long as it's hitting that target ROI. And you can see spend can pick up pretty quickly, and you can really get some more sales through than if you were just organic only. So why GMV Max? I think as TikTok starts to mature, it's going to go from, in the beginning of TikTok Shop, you just added a shop link and you got plenty of like free exposure. They were really trying to push shop. Now it's getting more competitive. They really want you to pay to play. So GMV Max is just going to get more and more important. You're just not going to get as much free reach as you used to. So it's good to really learn the ads platform. There's still some brands that are doing really well organically, but a lot of brands have started to supplement with ad spend on top of just getting a ton of videos. A good way to kind of get it going in the beginning is just set it to max delivery or set it to like a 0.5 target ROAS. Once you start to get sales, then you can start bumping up that target ROAS. You can change from max delivery to target ROI. You just want to build up some like ad history so TikTok Shop knows who your customer is. They know which videos to spend on, and then you can try and make it more and more profitable. This is just kind of a topic that, everybody's talking about a lot in terms of how TikTok might change in Q4. If there's like a sale, from what we know so far, like there's been a sale cleared by Trump, but there's been nothing official on like the counterparty in terms of China approving anything. But what we do know from what's been released is that ByteDance is still going to control commerce. They're still going to control advertising. So there shouldn't be a ton of changes on the shop side or TikTok ad side. It looks like mainly it's just, concerning like the organic algo, where the data is being stored, censorship on the platform, things like that. So that's kind of a good sign. Is like we can expect that there to be no real changes for shop in Q4. So just really just like focus on scaling, and then maybe by Q1 there'll be some minor changes, probably not anything huge. So besides GMV Max, we have other general levers for TikTok Shop. You still want to be pushing samples during Q4 because there is a bit of a delay. But let's say you approve samples this month, it takes 3 or 4 days for the creator to get it. The creator gets 2 weeks from TikTok to post. they post, it takes a week or two to get traction, and it starts getting picked up by GMV Max. It's all going to add up, and this is probably the worst time to stop sampling. You do want fresh content coming in. You could get a video that's kind of a winning video, this month or next month, and it'll start cranking with GMV Max like a couple weeks before Christmas. So you still want to do commission only creators. That's kind of bare minimum, using something like Cruva just to get those creators that you just send a sample to. And then if you have budget, you can do flat fee creators. You can do live streaming. Live streaming is still kind of lagging behind other geos. It's very much lagging behind China, but it's worth testing, especially on like holiday days. If you're running live GMV Max spend, then you can get a lot of people in that room and then try to close them with like a discount or some kind of urgency. It's just like a good final touch point. And this is just a graph that's coming from TikTok that's externally released, which is showing the relationship between GMV and number of videos. So as good as you might be doing on GMV Max, if you start to slow down on videos, if you don't have at least a few hundred videos per month, all the brands are doing like 1 million plus GMV. They have like 1,000 videos per month. So just really showing you the importance of volume there. And then just in terms of how to get creators. So as you go into Q4, like obviously creators are going to be busier. A lot of brands are going to be trying to get last minute creatives. People are going to be on vacation. People are going to be spending time with their families. So you really have to start thinking about like what the strategy is going to be for creator recruitment now. So you definitely want to use something like Cruva. You can also use email outbound, some platforms like Instantly. You can get email lists and kind of ping creators that way. Then you have flat fee marketplaces. Those are kind of self-serve. You find the creators, you offer them a rate. Sometimes they can counter. You kind of have to follow up with them and make sure that they post. And then there's tap groups that you can pay a flat fee, plus they get a commission, plus usually the group gets a bit of a GMV share. And again, you kind of want to be solidifying those deals now, because if you wait until the last minute, a lot of these groups are just completely closed out to new brands. And this just in terms of new features. So subscribe and save has been around for a bit. That got released out of beta a few months ago. That's great if you're in consumables. That way you don't have to really work as hard to constantly get new customers. If you offer a decent discount, if you're doing at least 10 to 15%, that's kind of bare minimum, then you'll start seeing some subscribe and save revenue, and just smooths out the revenue, makes it less like up and down. And then you also see TikTok getting stricter. Like they're getting stricter on the shipping time. They're getting stricter on how your negative review rate can look. If you're above 1% negative review rate, you'll get kicked out. So it's just like kind of driving more people to FBT. Probably wouldn't recommend switching to FBT now, but just keep in mind that like FBT has like certain deadlines you need to, inbound inventory if you want it to be available by Black Friday, or you want it to be available by Christmas. Generally, you have to give them like 2 weeks in Q4 to count everything in. So just keep that in mind. If you're on FBT, probably not a good time to switch to it. But keep in mind in Q1 that like you won't be dealing with any logistics related violations. If you're on FBT, rate card's actually pretty good as well, all that good stuff. And then you're also seeing TikTok just trying to pull back on some of those subsidies. So it's just important to make sure that you're on a bunch of different channels. If you're getting good creatives, you want to repurpose them on Meta. You want to give those creators a flat fee or percent of spend on Meta. That's really going to get you, as much profitability as you can from the channel. As it gets more expensive, as it gets more competitive, it just gets more and more important. You have the spillover to Amazon. Some brands are seeing as much as 20% halo effect to Amazon. So just make sure your Amazon's optimized. You have inventory in there. If something starts to pop off on TikTok Shop, you'll see a good amount of rated keyword search over to Amazon as well. Cool. That's pretty much all that I have, and I'm right at time. But if you have any questions, feel free to drop them in the chat.
Yeah. So just before we lose you, once we lose you, you're going to go back as an attendee. We'll go ahead and answer these 2 questions that they asked here in the chat. Paul saying that GMV Max no longer works. What do you have to say about that?
That's a hot statement right there. I would say with GMV Max, like if it's not working for you, it's probably like a creative issue. It's like you need more videos coming in, but you don't really have a choice starting like next year. Like GMV Max is going to be like the only tool. So I would say it's probably like a creative issue. Unless you're seeing it across like 10, 15 brands, if you're like an agency or something, then I would be concerned. But if it's just one brand, we've had brands kind of fall off before, and it's usually because like just the videos are starting to burn out. We haven't seen any new winners. If you go into GMV Max, you'll be able to see which videos are running. Sometimes they're like, the last good video is like 6 months old. It starts to fatigue. So I would just focus on getting a ton more samples out, more content coming in, and GMV Max should recover. This question here, how gradually should you increase your target ROI? We usually do 20% per week, both for target ROI and for budget. Usually that seems to be pretty stable. Like we don't see a lot of like swings if we do that. So if you're at like a 1.0 target ROI, you bump it to 1.2 in a week. If that's holding, you can bump it up. Don't get like greedy with it. Obviously, if you're okay with like 20% margins, then like don't keep bumping it to like 3 because then or 4 because then like, you know, as soon as you start to see a little bit of a dip, GMV Max is just going to turn off. Like if you can't spend at that target ROI, it's just not going to spend. Ruff basically saying the same thing. He might cover that in his talk as well. How do you target creators for TikTok Shop on Instantly? So Instantly is just like an email outbound platform. So you just have to get the email list. There's some platforms that sell it. There's usually like kind of like the Fast Moss, Kilo Data, Echo Take types is where you can pull creator email list. And usually those creators they're going to want some kind of flat fee. They're probably not going to do it on commission only, but it's just a good extra way to reach out to creators. Yeah, so they don't have the creators directly, but you can just download a list. Okay, I'll take this last one. I got one of my products banned because of bad reviews. So if you have bad reviews, you can appeal it twice. Once you've appealed it twice, if you have an account manager, you can escalate with at TikTok. Or if you don't have that, if you have like a TSP rep, if you're like an agency, they can escalate it, but you have to appeal it twice on your end, and then maybe they'll be able to help you out.
Cool. Any other questions we'll get at the end here. Thank you so much, Zayn, for your presentation.
Okay, so hopefully you should be able to see my screen. All right, perfect. So the goal of this session is to cover our cold start tactics. So everything that we're going to be covering is going to be basically how to launch to get out of this cold start. I'll explain what that is in a second. So a little bit about myself. My name is Rafi. I've been an e-com seller for 9 years in the TikTok space for almost 5 years, so 4 and a bit, well before TikTok Shop was around. We help brands build in-house social commerce systems in their businesses so they can scale without relying on an agency, or if you can, but at least you go knowing, you know, what leverage to pull so that when you're working with an agency, you can work a lot more streamlined and a lot more efficiently. And we're here at the update. But all that to say, like, why should you care? Why does this matter? So the reason you should listen is because we've had brands, and this isn't just one, brands that launch and within their first month have 280K in revenue with one product in 30 days. We've done this with brands in the pet niche, the supplement niche, the fitness niche, and more. These are some of our brands. And they've also sold following this cold start method that I'm going to be sharing with you. Now, this is all what's happening on the TikTok Shop side, but the halo effect that happens for these brands is a massive increase, not only on their search volume, obviously, but also sales. We've had people that have tripled their Amazon sales just off one viral video on the TikTok Shop side. And then we've also had brands, and this is the outlier, had 60x of their daily sales on Amazon, and they got to 900 sales a day on Amazon. Now they've stopped at around 650. They've kind of slowed down a little bit, but that's still like a 45x just off the stuff that they did on TikTok Shop. And all the cold start levers that I'm going to be teaching you on this session right now on how to launch effectively so that you can kind of not spin your wheels on the TikTok Shop channel, which is what I see a lot of brands do. And it's all because, like I mentioned, they handled the cold start correctly. And so the way I like putting my presentations together is I like putting them in 3 buckets. So hopefully you guys can understand. And of course, if you have questions as I'm going through this would be helpful for me to be able to help you exactly in the situation you are. But the 3 buckets are the context bucket. I'm going to talk about what's working and why. We're going to then get into the practical how-tos. And then obviously, if time permits, we're going to do a quick Q&A. As you can notice, I'm speaking a little bit fast. I know about 15 minutes. So I'm going to try and get as much value into your brains as possible and make this as useful for your time because you're spending your time here with me today. So today, I'll be sharing 5 out of the 15 plus point system that we've helped brands implement for a successful product launch on TikTok Shop. And I promise to you, by the end of the session, if you're not sure how to launch, or if you've been stuck, or if you've kind of been stuck in the purgatory of TikTok Shop, that you're going to have tactics that you can use today to improve your business. And then there's a few bonus TikTok Shop growth hacks that I'll be sharing towards the end as well. So with that being said, I just want to do a quick temperature check so I know who I'm speaking to over here. So how many of you are selling on TikTok Shop right now under 10K per month? Just so I know who I'm speaking to. Can you just say like a Y in the chat if you're under 10K, or just write 10K in the chat, just so I know who I'm speaking to. I'll give you guys like maybe 3 to 4 seconds to quickly put it in the chat so I know who I'm speaking to. Oh, okay, so maybe everyone's over 10K. Let's see. Okay, no one yet. How many of you are under 50K? So Georgia, you're under 10K. I appreciate the feedback. If you respond, I know that you're listening, which is great. So that gives me energy to keep going. Thank you, Georgia. 10K. Thank you, Shelby. Appreciate that. Mokai, thank you. Thank you. Rochelle, thank you. Thank you. I appreciate that. Awesome. How many of you are 50K, like between 10K to 50K, just so I can get an understanding of who I'm speaking to? Okay. Sufyan, okay, cool, perfect. Is there anyone on this call doing above 100K per month on TikTok Shop? Oh, 10-second delay. Thanks, Mocha. I appreciate that. Me, okay. Sam, you're doing probably, I know there's a bit of a delay, so you might be doing between 10 to 50 or 100. Okay, cool. So a lot of people that are stuck in like right in the beginning of the cold start, and a few that are doing maybe 50K or 100K plus. Awesome, Anissa. I appreciate that. Alex, you're doing 100K plus. That's brilliant. Sweet. All right. So thank you for your participation, everyone. Rapid fire context bucket. This is so that you know what I'm talking about. So the strategies and tactics that I put in, it can sit and land on something. So the first things first, and I mentioned this in the chat, I think to Paul, TikTok revenue is downstream of views, always. It's a video first platform. So if you don't have views, if you don't have quality views, if you don't have enough creative, nothing is going to fix that apart from getting the views. You could have enough traffic on there. It's just not going to work. Now we should understand this because it's a TikTok Shop platform, but sometimes we forget the simple stuff. So I want to make sure we're on the same page. So the TikTok Shop launch ramp, this is the same flow that every single brand is going to go through, no matter how big they are, how much money they're making out of TikTok Shop. This is it's being recorded, sweet. This is the exact flow that they're going to go through. And it starts at the cold start phase, which is of course what we're going to be covering today, the boosting phase, and the rapid growth phase, which is usually 100K plus. The issue is that most brands are stuck here. They get stuck in the cold start phase, and you might be one of those. A few of you guys said that maybe you're stuck there, and you're wasting time. And the worst thing is you lose enthusiasm for the amazing opportunity of TikTok Shop, and you think, hey, this doesn't work for me. Maybe my product doesn't work, or maybe I needed to start earlier and I'm too late to the game. And almost every single time that is wrong. And that's just because you haven't structured your launch the right way to get out of the cold start. And that's what we're going to be covering. But there's a really important concept to keep in mind for this. And a lot of people don't realize that TikTok is an entertainment first platform, and all the TikTok users aren't all the TikTok buyers. So all the Amazon users are Amazon buyers, right? But on TikTok, that's not the case. And it's important to understand this because TikTok as a platform is really protective of their buyers because it's a new platform. So if you're a new product that's launched there, you need to make sure that you have enough content, you give a good experience to your customers. Because we know that there's only a proportion of the users on TikTok that are TikTok buyers, we need to realize we're actually trying to do three things. So to get out of the cold start, we need to obviously get customers to want to buy from us. We need to get affiliates to see us as an opportunity to want to work with us so that they can sell for us. And then finally, most importantly, we need to show TikTok that we're a great seller so they can give us more e-commerce buyer traffic. And so if you're in the cold start, it is much easier for me to answer the question on how to do a great cold start by inverting it and showing you what would have to be true to do the worst possible launch. And I guarantee that some of you are doing a lot of what I'm about to cover here. So we're going to make sure that you aren't doing these mistakes. I'm going to go into the practical, tactical how-to steps that you can implement today to make sure that your launches are better. So first things first, if I wanted the worst possible launch, I wouldn't give any reason for affiliates to work with me or customers to buy from me. So I have very low social proof and I've got a very low commission. So I'm like, you know what? My competitors who are doing 100K, 200K, 300K per month, they're only giving 10, 12%. I'm going to do the same thing. That's a mistake. So we want to avoid that on our cold start. Next thing I would do would be having no brand presence on TikTok platform and selecting random affiliates to work with. We don't want to do that. We want to have a very dialed in approach working with these creators so that we end up finding the right type of affiliates who are already creating content in the same problem space. And obviously outreach bots are exactly the tool that you want to use for that. Hesitation for putting any money behind ad spend or GMV, that's converting. If I wanted the worst possible launch, I would hesitate doing that. If I wanted the worst possible launch here, I would make sure that I would only be launching I'll be launching my entire product suite, expecting TikTok Shop to operate like a marketplace that fulfills existing demand. The truth is TikTok creates demand. It doesn't fulfill existing demand. And it takes 5.4 times for a TikTok buyer to see your product to make that purchasing decision. So if you don't have enough content, they're never going to get to that point. And if that's spread across 20 different products that you're all trying to equally push to see which one, quote unquote, pops off, this is the issue that's going to be happening. Second last, if I wanted the worst possible launch, I wouldn't be leveraging or investing in all three levers of traffic. I would only be focusing on affiliates, or I'd only be focusing on ads, or I'd only be focusing on my own content and not creating a fully fledged revenue machine. And then finally, I would not be aggressive during my launch on TikTok. I would just see what happens and I wouldn't be committed to creating demand. Once you create the demand, the overflow, like I showed on the Amazon side, it works every time, but you need to create enough demand. So what does that actually look like? Let's get into the tactics. This is enough context sharing. You guys have the bucket now. So let's get into this. So this equation that I'm sharing with you is the equation that works for every single brand on TikTok, every single time, no matter what niche you are, what product you're in. This equation has lots of different elements that we're going to double click on, and the strategies I'm about to share with you touch on a lot of these. But this equation is revenue equals views times CTR times conversion. So views times click-through rate times conversion. It's a simple equation, but each of these elements, if they have a leaky bucket, you're just not going to get the conversions and the sales you want. And I don't want you to be stuck in that space because it sucks. I've been there. It's the worst. So we're going to hopefully try and fix this or remedy at least parts of that today in this session. Okay, so practical how-tos, what does that look like? So these are the cold start steps. These are the 5 steps I'm going to be covering today. First is going to be competition analysis. We have the 3P mix. We have social proof seeding, affiliate outreach, and then of course, we've got our ads. So I will share a resource here with you so that you can have this yourself, but we're going to go through this in the slides right now. So first things first, because TikTok is a platform that creates demand and all your competition, if it's on Shopify or on Amazon, aren't yet on TikTok Shop, believe it or not, they're not. Sometimes you'll get stuck in what I call an empty room problem. Sometimes you'll have a problem that comes, you'll have a brand or a product or a niche, and you'll look and you'll see, hey, there's no one actually selling this thing that I'm selling. So that must mean there isn't any demand. Or you have a product and lots of people are selling it, and you think, hey, there's too many people here, it's saturated. And so you're damned if you do and you're damned if you don't. And both are wrong. The truth is you need to establish a benchmark to see what your closest competitors were doing, or even adjacent brands that are selling in your problem space, and what they did not the last 6 months, but from month 1 of their launch all the way to 6 months through their launch. And the reason you do this is going to be your guiding light when you decide to do your launch. You need to have a roadmap to know, okay, if the average of my top 5 closest competitors or adjacent brands are the ones that are selling 1,000 units, have, X amount of GMV, they have this many shopper videos. That's what you need to hit in your first month to be able to catch them and surpass them. At a minimum, that is our floor. So if we can't hit that floor from month 1, we're already behind. So a lot of brands, when they launch, they'll do 50 samples and they'll get maybe 30 videos and they'll ask, why isn't this working? So we need to know what our competition analysis is, set that benchmark, and make sure that we hit that. Next is our pricing. During our cold start, we want to be aggressive. I know on Amazon and on things like Shopify, we're going to try and make sure we increase profit as much as possible. But because we know that more traffic will increase over time, and there's an amazing halo effect on Amazon where we can eat up all that amazing profit and all that interest and demand that we create, we want to be aggressive with our pricing and make sure that we dive in, push as many people in the beginning to actually get that sale, to get out of that cold start. So I'm going to speed through here because there's a few things. The next part of the 3P mix is product listing. You want to make sure that it's actually optimized specifically for TikTok Shop. It's not Amazon, but it's close to it because it's a marketplace. We want to de-Amazon our listing and literally create titles that are actually going to be picked up and indexed on TikTok, because it scrapes it with an AI. So if it's not in this exact format, it's going to suck. It sounds silly, but you need to make sure that you do this. It's these simple little things that are going to make sure that your leaky bucket is not leaky anymore, and the traffic that actually lands to your listing actually converts, because that's what you want. We're here as business owners. We want to make money. These simple things, they're important to make sure that we get our ducks in a row. Next is product listing. I want you to optimize your listing by following what's actually working for your closest competitors. So many brands aren't even utilizing all the space that's on their listing. So many brands don't even have a video, and it's a video first platform on the listing, which is kind of crazy. You can add videos. Hell, you can add GIFs in your description. I don't know if you realize that, but you can. I've created ones in Canva, put them in the description, and it's really, really useful. Oh, I've got tons for you, Hannah. There's a resource that's going to dive specifically into this product listing. I know I'm skipping through it, but the resource goes through it in way more detail, so you'll be able to plug and play. But it's a great question. I'll make sure that I dive into it towards the end. Finally, is your promo mix. You want to make sure that you run flash sales during your launch every 3 to 4 days. I know, I'm cutting my sales and whatnot. I'd rather give samples out. What people don't realize is they'll give out hundreds of samples, but they won't ever change their price to get the conversion. And if the cost of a sample, I'm just going to use round numbers, is $10 to get to a potential creator to create a piece of content, if you're reducing your price or to have a flash sale by 25%, it's actually more profitable to make that sale than just give a sample out to a random person. It's the same capital. You just don't think about it the same way because it's a product we've already paid for. So we don't think it's money that we're spending, but it is. So being aggressive with our promo mix is super duper important. I'm going to skip through these couple last things so I can go through the advanced stuff very quickly. And I promise the resource will go in way more detail. You will have the tools to have at least 5 out of the 15 points to actually be able to get a really strong launch. Next is social proof seeding. This is essential. TikTok, of course, is a video first platform. So that means a ton of videos is a form of social proof, of course, but it's still a marketplace. So you want to
get your friends and family to buy. You want to use a buyer's group like Silico. You want to use your email list. And I'll talk about the email flow that I use. If you guys have an email list, you guys should use the same flow to launch it and launch it effectively. But essentially, you want to make sure that your 3 to 5K in sales happen as quick as possible. And if that's from buyers, that's great. If that's from bot purchases, cool. If that's from friends and family, whatever it takes, get to 3 to 5K in sales as quick as possible, because that starts opening the floodgates. It provides social proof to buyers because they see units, so they want to buy from us. Provides social proof for our affiliates to make sure that, hey, it's like, hey, this is an opportunity. I'm going to choose to work with you as opposed to another brand that's making sales. And most importantly, provides proof to TikTok to, hey, these guys are making sales. Affiliates are looking at them. Buyers are coming through. Let me open the floodgates a little bit so that we can actually buy from these guys, or we can send customers to these guys. Finally, email list. This is the exact sequence of emails that I send for social proofing. So I always do a pre-launch announcement, what and how, launch, mid-campaign, final date, and final hours. I know it sounds like it's a lot. It's 7 emails, but it's super duper valuable to do this if you have an email list, because instead of doing to Shopify, which might be profitable a little bit, right? It's more profitable because it's your own list. But if you're driving it to TikTok Shop, if you get those initial sales early and you have an email list, it's free marketing, and it opens up the floodgates for TikTok, opens up the floodgates for affiliates to want to work with you, opens up the floodgates for customers to be like, hey, these units sold, people are actually buying this. This is legitimate. There's some reviews. Sweet. I'm going to go ahead and buy this. So quick takeaways here, and then we'll go into a couple of advanced tactics. And I know there's a couple questions here. Takeaways: please be aggressive in your launch. Invest in your launch. It's not just about affiliates. It's about ads. It's also about having a presence on that platform. Track your halo effect. You'd be surprised. The median of the brands that we're working with, the median, not the average, is 3 times an increase on their Amazon sales. 3 times, not on TikTok Shop, just on Amazon, from what they're doing on TikTok, if they launch properly. So track your halo effect. It really works. Achieve product content market fit fast. So if you have a product and it's selling on the Amazon marketplace, that's great, but you need to figure out a way to make that content actually stick. So that's product content market fit. And you do that with as many creatives that are actually coming through the door and many affiliates that you're working with. Do what's required to get social proof as quick as possible, whether you buy those sales yourself, friends or family, or obviously doing flash sales. I see some questions about that, and I'll make sure that I get that. For Khan, Shelby had a question, Hannah had a question, so I'll make sure I'll get to that. Georgia as well. And finally, push hard to make this an opportunity for affiliates to join. So if your closest competitor is doing 18% and you do 18%, but they're making 200K a month and you're making 0, if I'm an affiliate, I'm just going to work with that guy, because the likelihood of me creating content and actually getting results is going to be higher, right? So I want to make sure that I do that. So make it an opportunity, whether it's retainers, which not necessarily you need to do, making sure that your commission is higher, making sure that you give them all the support they need, the Creative Sandbox, to actually win. If you would like the resource, which is in way more detail, wish I had time, I'd share it on the screen, but it's like way more detailed than what I've shared so far. Scan the QR code, and then I'll send that out to you. I'll just leave it here for a second before I go into the advanced tactics. Couple of advanced tactics very quickly. I had 7 advanced tactics, but I'm gonna keep it to 2 because I know we don't have that much time. The first one is a GMV hack. So Zayn, he mentioned this, but I wanna double click on it a little bit. Couple things. So the reason why this GMV Max hack works is because you're circumventing the learning phase. That's how GMV Max works. So let's say you have a creator who's authorized you to use their content, which is great. It still takes the ad AI time to pull these creatives. And what that means is that a lot of your creatives stay in non-delivering or in the learning phase way, way longer. And so to do this hack well, ideally you want to be able to get 10 to 20 Spark codes, Shuffle videos daily. And the reason why we need the Spark codes is we can add these codes specifically into our GMV Max campaign and expedite it with a creative boost. By doing this, what I found consistently and all the time is your ROI and your ROAS is increasing because the speed and feedback loop of testing creatives ends up going way faster than its AI is doing at the moment. It just takes too long to get in the learning phase. So if you have 10 to 20 videos that are posting already, I want you to just make it a rule, collect the Spark codes right now, and just make it one of your team members' goals. And those Spark codes, one person's job is just to add them every single day. And you can segment out your ad spend to these ones that you're creative boosting. You're going to see your ROI explode. It's just going to be much more profitable for you, especially going into these holiday periods. You want to start this process now. Last tactic before we get into the questions is TikTok SEO. I've mentioned this so many times. I think I spoke about TikTok SEO the first time in 2022 on stage. Still, brands are sleeping on this. They don't even realize it. They still don't think about this. 1 in 4 users within 5 seconds of opening the app go to the search bar. That's insane. There's 170 million monthly active users. Now, they're not all buyers. I said that before, but they still use TikTok search as their primary engine, which is absolutely insane. And the crazy thing is you can get the data on what these searches are, what these questions are by using Answer the Public. And you can answer the most commonly asked questions in your problem space. So if I'm selling snow teeth whitening, I'm not going to create another video about my teeth whitening product. I'm going to answer questions about oral health. I'm going to answer questions about, oh, my teeth are hurting after this whitening. When will it fix? And answering those questions and posting it will mean that people will know, like, and trust you from the questions they're already searching on TikTok. When they see your converting content, they already know, like, and trust you from the stuff they've searched before, and they're much more likely to actually buy from you. And such a low effort piece of content to create on your own account, so you can increase your operated seller revenue and just get to that 5.4 times it takes a customer to see your product to decide to make a purchase. So easy. I don't know why people are sleeping on it. It really blows my mind. It's such an easy, low-hanging fruit. So I want you to do that. If you want to learn more about what we do, we help brands do this in-house so they don't have to rely on an agency. They can if they want to, but that's not what we do. We help you build this in-house. You can scan this and it just goes to like a tidy cow. You can jump on a call with us. But I know there's a bunch of questions, so I'm going to stop my share and answer those questions now. First question was, Hannah said, do you know how to optimize specifically for TikTok? Yes, 100%. So that resource has everything in there for how to optimize specifically for TikTok. Just follow that. Shelby said, how long do you need to run a flash sale? Every 3 to 4 days strategy. Good question. At least until you get 10K per month minimum. So if you're not hitting 10K in revenue, like, run the flash sales. Like, we need at least 10K in revenue to start entering the boosting phase.
Thank you so much. That was a great presentation. Yeah, and we'll get back to the questions at the end. We do want to give Jelena some time to do her presentation.
Hi, I'm Jelena. I'm the Associate Director of our affiliate department here at Go Fish Digital. We are an acquired company. We were actually the second ever sale on TikTok Shop and one of the first agencies to get GMV Max. So we have been here since it was nothing. So it's been a minute to learn and get into. I'm going to skip through some of these slides. You guys know TikTok's important. Here's why it's important. Come back to these stats later. But essentially, we kind of want to talk through a couple things here. What do affiliates look like now? How can we ramp up? And then what's the most optimized roadmap in the future? So if you've been on TikTok yourself as a user, every third scroll, I swear, is like a ad, an affiliate video. It's crazy, crazy, crazy oversaturated. TikTok has changed their own requirements to become an affiliate. It used to be 1,000, then it was 5, then 10,000. As of August, it's back down to a minimum of 1,000 followers. What does that mean for you? It has so much quantity and so little quality creators, leading to one, inauthentic creator content. So creators that are just spamming their profile, getting an average of 50 views per video. They're taking your sample. Their grandma could make the video. It's not quality. Second thing here is false advertising and a lack of product knowledge. So we're seeing a lot of creators lie about sales, lie about shipping times, lie about product usage, which is a huge liability down the road. Third thing here is the loss of consumer touch points and the control over it. I call it like what makes your brand sticky. What's that song or thing that's going to make it memorable in your brain after you've scrolled 3 million videos and forgot that you even scrolled to the first one? So we know our problems. How can we now take this oversaturated market and kind of revamp it up utilizing the new TikTok tools that they've integrated? This is a flywheel, nothing crazy, not really any new knowledge here. But I'm going to quickly walk through each of these stages, and especially with the new TikTok tools like TikTok One and TikTok Symphony, which I think are the most important things to take away from this if I'm going to walk through this in the next 5 minutes. So let's go through it. First quick thing for defining a story for your product. One, I recommend any affiliate program to focus on at the very start at least one single hero SKU. For TikTok to qualify as a hero SKU and get potential incentives from TikTok, you need to have a minimum of 100 samples sent per PID. So 100 samples per hero SKU. Additionally, with that, 20% of those samples need to be going to what they call L3 creators. L3 creators are just creators that make $20,000 or more in the past 30 days. So if you need those metrics, 100 samples, 20 need to go to L3 creators. You can find those on this CRM platform and outreach them in many, many different ways here. So if you have those hero qualifications that's set up, a couple other quick things I would just really briefly run through here is building trust. You can use 3PL integrations. You can use brands like Celico to get reviews, get items sold, get proof of concept on the actual app. And the last thing here in this middle column that I'm just kind of briefly running through is avoiding any shop performance score violations. If you have things like out of stock issues, a late dispatch rate, or poor reviews on a mass scale, you can eventually suspend your affiliate program permanently and really, really hurt your shop. So before you even perform outreach and find your creators, make sure you have enough stock to be sending at least 100 samples. You have the list prepared, and then you're avoiding any violations. 2 more quick things I'm going to sidestep here, looking at the product value and the outreach setup. Firstly, the product value. I just like to call out that you should have 2 different types of incentives ready to pull as a lever if things are, for lack of better wording, going wrong. One being an affiliate incentive. So we're talking about boosted commissions, bundle SKU opportunities, challenges, or prizes that we can send to affiliates if we're not getting enough engagement right away. Second thing here, obviously customer incentives. We were all talking about sales, flash sales, gift with purchase, first-time purchaser code. We recommend a minimum of 2 flash sales per month. TikTok is an impulse app. You need to cater to that both with your affiliates and with your customers. And then third thing here that I like to always tell clients, and we see it a lot of times in audits, is outreach needs to be set up for success. It needs to be clean, skimmable, and then always use a follow-up CRM to break through any missed engagement. Quick outreach examples. I'm going to slide through this because we don't need to read through it. Essentially, what's highlighted here is what's in color is all the affiliates actually see in their DMs, and same thing with the target collaboration. So you're just focusing on what's actually going to catch their eye enough to actually open it up and read more about the product. So finding the voice, I have a right-hand side checklist. This depends on your brand, your AOV, how much stock you can give out. So we have like a minimum recommendation of 2 to 5K in the past 30 days. Obviously, if you can get more than that from these creators, find those creators. But just some general rules of thumb that we try to have as filters for the open plan or target plan outreach that we set. When you're looking at finding creators at a baseline, really recommend looking at the social listening tools from Cruva. Don't know if I'm pronouncing your name right, guys, because you just changed it. My brain is still adapting from Uptick, so forgive me that. But social listening tools are really great. We look at the products that are similar and niches and creators and steal them, poach them, and reach out to them right away. Additionally, TSP creator communities are a great resource. You can look into tap agency campaigns directly in your affiliate center. That's going to be your best bang for your buck. And then, of course, TikTok itself, they give our agency L2, L3 creator list per month per vertical, which is really helpful to identify rising stars. But the most important thing here that I am the biggest advocate for is the TikTok Creator One. TikTok Creator One is essentially TikTok Marketplace. There's 2 different types of collaborations you can do. One that I recommend for nearly every brand that's already activated on ads is the TikTok funded one. You get put into tiers based on your ad spend in the past 30 days, and they pay the creators to create content for you. You get at least 150 days of ad right usage on TikTok. You can send scripting, content ideation. You can also revise and request edits. But the most important part, especially for Q4, is you can plan the rollout of this content. It should not be used by itself and for getting the affiliate program. It should be used in tandem with it. And the best case for TikTok Creator One, while you're having an ongoing affiliate program, is talking through product launches or seasonal campaigns, promotions, flash sales. That way you can give this campaign to creators ahead of time, ship it outside of TikTok, work on the verbiage, the hook, the call to action, and then you schedule when they go live so you can hack the algorithm yourself organically. And then you naturally already have that Spark ad code, that mass authorization to push it and test it. Next thing, spark the trend. Nothing crazy. You probably heard every single brand has a Discord, a Slack, a community channel. If you don't have that, at the very least, I really recommend utilizing a CRM tool setup for like the samples shipped, products delivered, their first sale, 10th sale, and beyond, as well as integrating easy ways in groups to segment for content campaigns and incentives based on their tier of affiliate success. With that, a really successful thing we've seen in our affiliate program is utilizing one viral video from the brand, a top creator, and then encouraging multiple affiliates to stitch it, duet it, reply to a comment. Again, it kind of like hacks the organic algorithm and allows you to get into that audience at the forefront and then gain some natural traction based on what's already recognized on the platform. Supercharge the winners. One KPI we look at in terms of like affiliate success from outreach to our sample sent, because it is a cost, right? It's a margin that the cost the brand has to take into account. So we're looking at the sample to video ratio for how many samples do I send, how many videos do I get back. At minimum, we try to get at least a 2 video back per sample send. And then some brands that are really successful see around 6 to 10 videos per sample sent each month. And that's with really well-developed ambassador creators. Another TikTok tool, and anytime TikTok rolls out a tool, I tell everyone to use it because they want you to use it and they'll probably hack something to push you. That's my conspiracy theory, is TikTok Symphony. It's their own AI platform or AI kind of like Sora organization. You can basically do a couple different things. Firstly, you can repurpose affiliate videos into brand-owned assets. So if you're already paying commission, shop ads, everything else, you can take these and replicate it into an AI avatar that you own, and then you're making your own money based off of a proven concept of a video. Second thing here, you can utilize the affiliate likeliness pay them for this, please. Translate their video into a multitude of different languages to hit new markets, again, with the proven concept of what video works. And then the third thing here is generating B-roll based on images or actual videos itself to replicate and create new types of content like this right-hand side that you can add and splice up into multiple pieces of posts. This is not too crazy in terms of this slide here. The biggest thing when we're looking at affiliates long-term is you want to really utilize them to cross multiple channels and take them from just TikTok to your Meta, to your YouTube eventually, etc. So making sure that we are tiering that. Uptick has some really cool challenges and campaign, sorry guys, I'm calling you guys the wrong name, but they have some really cool campaigns and things that you can do to easily automate it yourself. I would really recommend looking into that. So if you're looking into anything, look into the social listening and then those campaign features here. I'm going to wrap it because I have to jump to another meeting. But if you guys would like a free social commerce audit, we do affiliates, TikTok lives, ads, any of that kind of stuff. My bread and butter is affiliates. We can hit you guys up here and talk more in depth into these concepts.
Jelena, thank you so much for jumping on. I think there's one question here from any metrics around sales and sample sent on average before you leave.
Sales and samples sent on average. I don't know exactly what metric that would be, but on app, we try to send at least 100 SKUs per hero SKU. I will say like a really successful brand send like 1,000 samples each month, and they're kind of seeing that 6 to 7 figure number in terms of GMV. We try to recommend increasing that around 20% month over month at minimum.
Thank you so much for your time.
No problem. Sorry I ran through that so fast, but thank you guys. I really appreciate it. I have to jump.
And then due to popular demand, we're going to bring back Rafi to answer a couple questions here.
So Furkan, you had a question. You said that should that be 5K achieved in a month or two, or some recommended timeline as quick as possible? If I could get the 5K done in 2 weeks, I would do it as soon as possible. Definitely don't stretch it out, because if you're going to invest that capital anyways, whether it's friends and family or Celico or whatever the case may be, or through flash sales, just as quick as possible, because then you need to enter that boosting phase. We want to get you to like that boosting phase is usually between like 10K to like 5-10K to like maybe 20-30K. And then that rapid growth phase is usually between 30-50K, 100K beyond, and that's where it really starts scaling. So we want to do that as quick as possible. Georgia, you said, do flash sales damage your brand's reputation and make it look cheaper? Definitely not, because you're anchoring at a higher price, and then these flash sales are happening at particular times. And so when you're working with creatives, you can ask them to mention the flash sale, but also make sure you mention, hey, you know, I was lucky enough to get this on flash sale. I don't know if they're running it right now. Check it. Let me know what price you get it for. And so the affiliates can also have a great way of positioning your brand with value, so you don't feel like, hey, you know, it's cheapening your brand. I haven't seen it damage a brand's reputation at all. It, in fact, just gives you way more traffic, and then you can anchor at a much higher price after this cold start phase. Hannah said, how do you track your halo effect to Amazon specifically? There are tools that are coming out for that, but honestly, what I do is I track my BSR, I track my PPC impressions, I track how many visits and sessions I'm getting on my Amazon page, and then I'm also looking at what my conversion rate is. Your conversion rate will drop because you're going to get way more traffic, but as long as I'm tracking those 4 things before any campaign and I'm checking it every single week, I can see a trend, which is super valuable. Alex said, for a brand with multiple products, some of which haven't reached 5K GMV threshold as quickly as others, is it still worthwhile to focus on pushing a slow performing product past this threshold long after it has been deprioritized or dropped? I'm a massive fan of approaching the entire launch process of TikTok Shop with like a tip of the spear mindset. So if you have a product that you know is already crushing it, keep pushing that, because as the more that grows, the more affiliates are working with that product. And then you can siphon those affiliates out that are already getting success with this product, and those best affiliates to your slower performing ones to try and move them up. But if you're kind of stuck in the middle with many products, I'll just focus on one or two max that you can push beyond this threshold to then start siphoning those creatives off after you get winners, after you get frameworks that working. Shayan, you said GMV campaigns are costing too much recently. How to lower the cost? Quantity of creative and quality of creative. If a lot of your creative is conversion based, hey, buy my thing, there's a sale, that's not going to work as much as a story that starts from awareness and goes all the way through to consideration and then conversion inside that same piece of creative. So the antidote is the same thing. You need more creatives. Outreach recommendation is Cruva. Obviously, it's one of the best, so I would definitely recommend it. Their flywheel mechanism is, I think they were the first to come up with it, which is awesome. And I think I've covered all the questions, and I know you guys have your day to get to. Is there any other questions here? Yeah, can we connect over Lark or email? Would love to hear. Oh, thank you, Hannah. That's lovely. Yeah, just reach out to Rafi at theuptick.com. I know our name is The Uptick, and you're thinking this is called The Uptick. It changed. We ended up separate paths having the exact same name. It just ended up having that way. And that's how Sebastian and I connected in the first place. So different spelling, but very similar. So yeah, definitely reach out to me via email, and then we can figure out the whole Lark thing as well. Brian, did you want to jump in?
Yeah, thank you so much for answering the questions. And thank you everybody for tuning in. We will be sharing it. I know there was a ton of strategy and just tips and tricks for everyone. I know Black Friday, Cyber Monday is coming up. That's a big time for TikTok Shop. So please reach out to any of us via LinkedIn, via Slack, wherever you can reach us. We will be sharing this out as well. Thank you everybody for coming out and for tuning in. We'll have more of these. And yeah, thank you so much for joining.